Yeah! Woo! Heck yeah, baby!
Rivers gives to Sproles, angling left, has room, 15, 10, 5, jackpot! He got it! He got it! He got it!
Touchdown, Antonio Gates! 112 career touchdown catches. That's the most by an NFL tight end all time.
I would have hoped that people would have figured it out. I just like to play football.
This is Score More with Garrett Sisti.
Let's go!
What's up, good people? Welcome to a regular season edition of Score More. Bang, bang. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Chargers 1-0 when they're a home opener against the Raiders. Appreciate you guys joining us. I know we've got stuff over on Twitter. Thank you for joining the Patreon. The Discord is bigger and badder than ever. It is always an adventure on game days, riding that roller coaster with hundreds of other Chargers fans in there. It is quite fun. So make sure you're in there, and thanks for watching Score More and or listening to Score More. Thank you so much. So today, normally if you guys are following along and Score More, it's kind of a roller coaster. We'll do some bits. We'll do some fun stuff. We'll also cover the games that have gone on throughout the week. I don't want to do that today. Not that I don't want to, just I want to get to some important stuff. After watching that game, first off, there's one thing. And again, I'm not going to review the other games. We're just going to go straight Charger game. The thing that, and why waste time? The thing, and why not just keep interrupting myself as I'm saying, let's get to the point. I'm jumping off the point multiple times. The main takeaway from the Chargers game after multiple rewatches now is it was very, very clear about midway through that third quarter, the Raiders wanted nothing to do with the Chargers. It was like they were scrappy, they being the Raiders. The Raiders were scrappy early on. There were some kind of late hits. There were some dirty plays, especially from Christian Wilkins, who has really taken over that Raiders mentality. But, there was a lot of fire in the Raiders early on when the game was close. And it just felt like by midway through that third quarter, they just wanted no part of it anymore. And they just decided, now being the Chargers, decided to just drag them into the deep end. We talked about it on the after hours, is that there were a couple body blows, and eventually they just kept going and going until they basically beat them into submission. But it was a very different vibe halfway through that third quarter. Heading into halftime, it felt like, oh, it's close. Then they go out, Chargers kick a field goal, they go up early. There's a missed field goal, there's a fumble. There was a lot of sloppy play, but then after that, there just wasn't that willingness to lift up the offense anymore from the defense, from the Raiders. The Chargers defense held strong the entire game. Outside of a missed tackle from Asante Samuel Jr. and Dion Henley, where they kind of got mixed up on that sideline on Madison. Outside of that, it was a really sharp game defensively. And every time the Chargers offense stalled, and if you look back at that first quarter, I mean, it's just uglier and uglier with how many penalties they had in that first quarter. And poor Will Dissly, man, I ended up getting benched. Tomlinson comes in, the backup tight end. He then commits a penalty. Dissly comes back in. It was a mess from those two. And it really hurt the team to even get off the ground. And then the interior offensive line was just a mess. Alt and Slater looked great as the bookends, but everybody inside, they were not communicating right. And there were a lot of twists and stunts that were happening up front that they just could not handle. So I'm glad Harbaugh was able to talk them out of that, and they were able to communicate better in the second half. But it just felt like in that middle of that third quarter, the Raiders were just like, I can't keep doing this. I don't know if they're at a game shape being the first quarter, but it felt more mental than it did physical. It just felt like the tackling got sloppier. The penalties kind of added up a little bit more. The run defense, which is one of their biggest strengths, which is a pretty good defense, I will admit. The Raiders have a really nice, smart, it felt like sound, smart. I mean, I get they had some stupid penalties and they were trying to play dirty and all that stuff. But for the most part, between the whistles, they were pretty clean. for most of that game, but it just felt like they didn't have the will and they didn't really have the, I don't know, they didn't have that fire that the Chargers did. The Chargers absolutely wanted to win that game more than the Raiders did. The Raiders just did not have it halfway through the third quarter. But speaking of run defense, this episode is just going to be focused on two dudes. Two guys in the defense, the defensive line. Two guys on the defensive line. I want to just show some clips of how good these guys were. I mean, when you go back and rewatch these games and you focus in on the interior of the defensive line, you have got to be impressed with the kind of 4-man rotation they had there. Now, well, I call it 5. There isn't any clips of Morgan Fox, who had a really good game. Scott Matlock, the interior defensive line / fullback, did not get any love here either, but had a good game. Not that they're not getting love. I just wanted to highlight two guys. And then Tier Tart, who was pretty quiet for most of the game, early on, got some real push in the interior. So impressive start for Tier Tart. Kind of faded towards the end. They kind of tightened up that rotation a little bit more. But it's the other two that I really want to focus on today. And the first guy I want to focus on is Otito Ogbonnia. I got 3 plays here for Otito Ogbonnia. And the first one is a real impressive tone setter for the Chargers defense. Raiders go out, they get 9 yards on first down, and then the Raiders try to run downhill and can't gain a yard. And the play that I'm going to bring up is a second down stop from Otito Ogbonnia. There's obviously a really nice play from Joey Bosa. You've seen the clips online about that play, but let's focus in on this Otito Ogbonnia stop here on second down. Now, if you focus in on 93 here, on this play, they're going to be running behind the right guard. So you think 95 on this clip would be the closest to make this play. But really, it's the wall that Poona Ford makes, 95. We'll get used to that number very quickly. It's the wall that Poona Ford makes, and then it's Otito Ogbonnia who's able to work his way inside, across the line of scrimmage, and get in front of Zamir White to make the tackle. The double team that Poona Ford takes on kind of helps create a wall here. You got Dayon Henley who's shooting the gap, so Zamir White can't hit that open lane. Luckily, Henley is able to get past Parham quick enough to beat inside, which makes Zamir White cut towards the middle of the line rather than over that right shoulder of that right guard. And look at Miller. He's still trying to hold on to Otito Ogbonnia, but he's able to slip the grasp of him. So you see Tito basically have 2 Raiders on him as he's bringing down Zamir White, at least wrapping him up, and then eventually setting him down. The next play here again is the thing to keep in mind here is on that first play, he was kind of on the opposite side of the play. It's going to happen again here. Otito Ogbonnia this time lined up against the right guard, Parham, who's going to try to reach him at the line of scrimmage. But Tito walks him sideways and is able to get in there and make the tackle. Little help from Thule. You got Christian Fulton in the mix, all there to make the tackle. That's a rallying tackle here, but it's Tito who provides the extra pop to knock him down. It's a gang tackle, but the fact that Thule and Tito can work their way from the right side of the line all the way to the left to make this stop, just a mere 2-yard gain there. The last one here for Tito, we're in the fourth quarter now. Raiders are in the red zone. It's 16-7. There's about 12 minutes left, a little over 12 minutes. Tito and Scott Matlock are inside. You've got Mack and Bosa on the outside, on the ends. And it's just a straight bull rush. Walk your man back to the quarterback. Walked him back. And while Mack makes first contact, it's Tito, who, by the way, gets hands to the face, not called, makes the tackle here. And he doesn't get the half a sack, but a credit to getting to the spot with Khalil Mack. Because if Mack doesn't get there, Tito, easy clean up there. But nothing but a bull rush overpowering the man in front of you. Tito went from a guy that some, me included, thought he was at the bottom of this kind of interior defensive line rotation. He was a Telesco draft pick, didn't really have favor with this new regime, but he didn't get a pass, and he's earned his way on the field and now making big plays. He was a big part of the run game on Sunday. He's going to be a big part of it going forward. And the next guy that deserves all the praise from this game, I know a lot of people are praising J.K. Dobbins, who obviously got a game ball, Joey Bosa, who was great, Khalil Mack did really good as well. But one unsung hero that not enough people are talking about is Poona Ford, who was an absolute game wrecker. I got 5 clips here from Poona Ford. First clip is the 4th down. Raiders go for it. They're on their 40. Big number 95 here lined up against Dylan Parham. 4th down. You need to stop. You need somebody to take on a double team. You need somebody to create a wall. Nobody better than this man right here, Poona Ford. Able to split the gap here, get to the second level, having to take on a tight end. Look at the chaos. I mean, just creating chaos at the line. A bunch of Raiders bunched together. Zamir White cannot find a hole because of the big man, Poona Ford, who gets in there. Otito Ogbonnia does a pretty good job of setting a wall. It's really a group effort. Poona Ford gets there first. Excellent play from Poona Ford. Gets the turnover. Will not be the last turnover he gets on the day. Big boy celebration. Next clip here, second quarter. Poona Ford engages early on, able to help out here on the tackle. Screen, hustles down the line. Boom. Gets east and west pretty quickly here. Well, for a man that size. Gets across, disengages from Parham. Still trying to hold on. Of course, it's Perryman who wraps up. And it's Poona Ford who helps out. Same with Mack. Lots of gang tackling. Cannot tell you how much a man like me loves a good gang tackle. Getting 3 or 4 defenders in on the tackle on every single play. That's my brand of football. He's across the middle, and he reads it almost immediately. He sees it, eyes in the backfield, cuts across, knocks down the pass, tackles the running back for good measure. Nice pass breakup. Little PBU for the big man. Then here's another hustle play here from Poona Ford. Again, we know what he could do in the run game, but you got a big man chasing down plays here. Here he is, big man in the middle. Doesn't give up on the play. Tackles him short of the sticks on a 3rd down. Raiders have to kick a field goal. It's a good likelihood Gilman tackles him short of the sticks, but why depend on one when you could bring another? Poona Ford comes down, makes sure to tackle him from behind, gets him short of the sticks. The big man with just straight hustle, nothing else. Gauges as soon as it's thrown. He's trying to work himself, getting north and south. Nice job from Gilman on the cleanup. Poona Ford, great hustle play on the back end. And then, of course, the topper. No man deserved to get the game-winning interception that Poona Ford. Joey Bosa would have been nice. Mack would have been nice. But Mack gets the tip-off. It's Poona Ford, who's got the soft hands. Gets the interception. And let's run down and celebrate. Nice job in the middle. Taking on double teams still. An unsung hero this entire game. A heck of a job from Poona Ford. Some of his best play. Some of this best interior play we've seen from a Charger in a very long time. Poona Ford doing all the dirty work. Getting the interception. You have got to love it. Was a big fan of Poona Ford coming out of college. Wanted him as a free agent. He's traveled along. Finally gets to the Chargers towards the kind of back end of his career. I couldn't be more happy for a guy like Poona Ford being in a Charger jersey, because if anybody's going to get something out of him, it's a man like Harbaugh. So, Otito Ogbonnia, Poona Ford, the highlights of this defense on the interior. Guys that were unsung heroes. Bosa, great job rushing. Mack, great job rushing. They're getting all the accolades. We're seeing Slater and Alt get a lot of love online. I would have loved to cover those guys too, but you've seen all that. Let's talk about the guys that deserve some love too. That was Poona Ford and that was Otito Ogbonnia. Big shout out to both of them. Can't wait to see them next week against the Carolina Panthers and a pretty suspect team in general, really. I was going to say offensive line, but offensive line, receiving core, quarterback, defense, all of the above. So it'll be interesting, but great game for the both of them. And honestly, once again, like I was saying at the beginning, once that halfway through that third quarter came along, Poona Ford, Otito Ogbonnia, Scott Matlock, Morgan Fox, they really put the hammer down and they turned the screws on the Raiders and they just could not recover. And it didn't feel like they wanted to recover. The Chargers wanted it more and they got it. 1-0 in the division, beat a division rival. Broncos also lost, which means it's the Chiefs and Chargers up top the AFC West at the moment, still undefeated, if you care about that sort of thing. But thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.